Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. Bernie Sanders, come on down. You are unfortunately the next contestant. Sanders, I've never hidden how I felt about you. I love you to death. So let's bake that into the cake before I say anything else. I've also have made this point that I believe that some of the criticism that you were hit with, while it's understandable, was for the most part, I believe it was unfair, or at the very least didn't necessarily take into context your experiences. The words they used were harsh. They were essentially hurled at you like stones. Traitor, has-been, sheep herder, sellout. You got to understand, though, that this doesn't come from necessarily a hateful place. In fact, I'd make the argument that it comes from the opposite. During that primary, the guy who started off at like 5%, he opened his mouth, and the things that fell out rattled the conscience and the hopes of a nation. All across the political spectrum, people heard the things that you were saying, and they were set afire by those things. It was new. It was something they had never heard before. Or at the very least, they had never heard it before coming from somebody who's actually earnest and had a track record of actually trying to achieve those things. In a room full of liars, the one modest, honest man is a dramatic thing. Ultimately, you were distinct, and people acknowledged you as being such. To this honest man that so inspired a nation, befell an army. That army was willing to stomp for you, to battle on social media for you. They were willing to send you cash. They were willing to argue. They were willing to stomp. They were frenetic and they were energized by the vision that you gave them of what this country could be. You called for a political revolution and your army answered the call. They were there. They were ready. So surely you can understand the level of injury, the level of heartache to the loyal of millions when the Democratic Party, overt and clear as day, cheated you, when they slandered you, when they lied about you, when they schemed and plotted against you, when they bent the rules, when they wrote negative editorials about you that essentially, again, lied about you. This honest man, this statesman, was branded sexist by the corrupt person under an FBI investigation in the same party. All of this was compounded. Essentially, tragedy compounded by the indignity of this honest statesman, this guy that rallied a nation, being broken and paraded about the DNC. It puts you in the mind of Rome, the way Rome would conquer a particular civilization or conquer a barbarian, and they would put him in a cage, naked, and drag him back to the city. People could throw tomatoes at him and swear at him. And ultimately, Rome did this because they wanted to show the power and the glory of Rome. This is effectively what the Democratic Party did. It destroyed their party, but it was a painful thing to watch. As tears literally welled up in your eyes as you were sitting there, you could see them. Those tears were for the most part dwarfed by the ocean of tears that was coming out of people outside in that arena watching on TV. It was a painful thing to watch. It shocked the conscience that they would do this and behave in this way and defraud millions of people and shaft this actual honest and earnest man. The voice that inspired millions, that pushed for a revolution, turned around and supported status quo. Look, the anger that people are feeling, the reason why they are hurling those stones, it's not out of hatred. It's because, for the most part, they actually did love you. And they full well believed in what you were talking about. It was a loss of hope. It was a dream deferred. It was these things that they believed that they could articulate into law, that they can change the country. Having all of that dashed and broken in that way was painful. And like any other normal person, they reacted out of anger. And they said bad things that were put in your direction. I never blamed you for that, per se. I didn't particularly like it, but I never blamed you for it. Because I took the context of what was involved in being in party politics. And understood the difficulty of having to work within a particular party and the entanglements associated with that. Not to mention, I realized that you were terrified that Donald Trump would have taken power. And you looked at Hillary Clinton as being the lesser evil. She lost. She lost. The most qualified crook to ever run for that seat lost to reality show hosts that essentially fired a bunch of celebrity has-beens for profit and for entertainment. That's the guy she lost to. The point I'm making to you is that the dynamics, the political dynamics, have changed, significantly so. We're not in a situation where Donald Trump may take office by something that you may or may not do. Donald Trump is already in that office. He's already in that office. Now, I have assiduously asserted that your alliance with that party will get you nowhere. I have sternly asserted it on more than one occasion. Now, your actions have implied the contrary. That for the most part, you believed that for whatever reason, you could get your legislative agenda pushed through a party that's controlled by corporate cash. I disagreed, but just because I disagreed doesn't necessarily mean I'm right. And for as long as you believe it, you do have to pursue that particular line of thought. Look, people can disagree with you, but at the very least they believe that you honestly and earnestly believe that you can get your agenda accomplished through the party. Whether they agree with you or not, at the very least, you're being consistent in your beliefs. You're doing what you think is right and what you yourself think you have the best chance of accomplishing your objectives. So imagine my shock when I get on Twitter and for the first time I see a glimmer, at least in your actions or the things that you're saying, that you're beginning to agree with me. It's an amazing thing to see. It is a hurtful and painful thing to see. This is Bernie Sanders having a conversation with Anderson Cooper about healthcare. Notice the change in tone in regards to single payer versus now pushing for a public option.
I believe in a Medicare for all single payer program, but it ain't going to happen right now. We don't have the support in the Congress for that. So while we continue that long-term struggle, right now we need to improve the Affordable Care Act. And that means a public option available in every state in this country, which gives people a wide variety of options, but make sure that there is competition in every community in this country. In my view, it means lowering the age of Medicare from 65 down to 55, allowing more Americans to participate in that program. It means passing Medicare negotiating ability with the pharmaceutical industry and reimportation, allowing us to buy expensive drugs around the world, which will not only lower the cost of medicine in this country, lower the cost of healthcare. Those are some short-term remedies that I think we need to go forward on.
He's a socialist. Sanders has pushed single-payer health care for as long as I can remember. Switching his position implies that you are aware that there is no path for you to get that particular agenda through the party. Single-payer health care is probably the most popular option in regards to the American public. It is the option that covers everybody. It is the cheapest option. And again, it is the option that you asserted was the best case scenario. You said there was no path to get that accomplished. Now, Trump is not going to support single option or public option. Single payer or public option. So why scale back? Like, it's a little weird, right? You're pushing single payer healthcare. Donald Trump is probably not going to do single payer healthcare. Then you make a decision, okay, I'm scaling back from single payer and I'm going to public option. But if Donald Trump is not going to support single payer, why does it matter? Why are you backing up at this point? I suspect you're backing up because you realize that your party doesn't support it. I suspect you're fully aware and you're looking ahead. It may be some conversations that you've had since you've been pushing this Medicare for all. It may just be the observation. But at the very least, implicit in going backwards shows that you finally, for the first time, or at the very least the first time that you vocally have said something that contradicts the plan that you've been enacting up until this point. It implies that you finally believe that you will not get your agenda, the agenda that you believe is necessary, through the Democratic Party. It indicts your strategy. It completely indicts your strategy. And again, I kind of make this point that single-payer healthcare is more popular. It's more popular. So you can't get the popular strategy through the Democratic Party. You can't get the strategy through that covers the entire country, that literally cuts costs. That's off the table in the Democratic Party. That is the first plank in your agenda. That is probably the easiest plank in your agenda to accomplish. And in no way do you have the votes or the influence in the party to which you're caucusing to get that through that party. It does not thrill me to be right on this. Not at all. Not at all. But I'm making this video to kind of make this point of saying, if you're finally admitting that, it indicts your strategy. It indicts your strategy. So, if you can't articulate your legislative will through the party, what's the motivation to continue to work with the party? You finally recognize reality. So what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? If you realize that your party, or your influence in that party, a party that's beholden to cash, a party for the most part that works at cross purposes with the things that you yourself want to accomplish, why are you continuing to work with that party? Ultimately, everybody who you bring back to that party, you're getting nothing for it. If you can't articulate your legislative will through the party, even after bringing back those people into the party, why are you bringing people back into the party? Every person who you make a Democrat weakens your influence to some degree and strengthens theirs. So the question becomes, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? If your popularity dwarfs every other politician, those people, your revolutionaries, they are still out there waiting for you. I am still sitting here waiting for you. All of us still hold that flicker of hope, that vision that you instill in us of what this country could be. Now, you need to understand the consequences of inaction. Scientists are literally talking about catastrophic environmental collapse. Republicans are going to rip Obamacare from limb to limb, one chunk at a time. People are subjected to the horrors of the market in regards to healthcare. Civilians are being murdered in numbers that are Amazing. Even more than Obama was murdering civilians. The modest economic and banking regulations that were passed, Dodd-Frank, are being ripped away, meaning there will be another financial collapse. And this is going to be a collapse where we're already $19 or $20 trillion in debt. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? There's a drowning man in the pool. Bernie Sanders. Are you going to help him? That woman left her kids in that burning house. Sanders. Are you going to run in and get those kids? I'm making the point that the gravity of the situation demands action. We are facing cataclysmic changes, dangers in regards to this country and in regards to this world. If you full well recognize those things, which I know that you do, how can you stand by and watch? Are you going to really let the guy drown? Are you going to really let those kids burn to death? Are you going to grab your sword and you're going to slay that two-headed dragon? You are literally uniquely suited to take that task. I don't necessarily ask you this willy-nilly. I ask you this because of everybody with the ability to pull this off. You are uniquely suited. Your popularity rating is like 80%. You're still considered an honest man to this day. And ultimately, you were the one that screamed for political revolution. And you had millions answering that call. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Your popularity has only surged. The Democratic Party's popularity is like 30-something%. I think the last poll I saw, his popularity was like 30%. That party is completely broken and defunct. It is a dumpster fire. Trump is an absolute disaster. And we, meaning this country, is literally on the brink of collapse. Do you want a revolution or not? Do you want a revolution or not? You asked for it. The world is burning. Of everyone commissioned by fate that are in a position to do something about it. Look, I don't get on YouTube and shake and scream for no reason. I do it because to some degree I was born to do it. I was built this way. I was uniquely suited for this particular task. My brain works in this way. There are all sorts of people all around the world who are taking on tasks, not necessarily because they wanted to take on those tasks, but because fate deemed it necessary. I'm pretty sure King, I'm pretty sure Gandhi, I'm pretty sure one person after another that was put in a position that was stressful, that was difficult, but necessary. What I'm asking you to do, what the millions of people asking you to do, what your revolutionaries, what your army is asking you to do, is to be the change. To be the guy who not necessarily saves the world, but at the very least to be the guy who's willing to spearhead what's necessary to put this country on a path of salvation. Right now, we are in dire straits. And we are in immense difficulties. And of all the people who have the political acumen, who have the resources, who have the skill, who have the popularity, who have the honesty and integrity, and understand how important that is, a recognized integrity across the political divide. That's just you. That's just you. You can strip away from that party. You can excoriate both of those parties. And I guarantee you, you will bring millions of people to your side. Your army is still there. They're just waiting. We are just waiting. Grab your sword and rally your sons. If you want that revolution, it's here for you, but you got to be willing to take it. You got to be willing to take it. I've asked you over and over again, if you honestly have come to this come to Jesus moment, this honest recognition of reality, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You can't pretend anymore that your strategy is working because you've just admitted here implicitly that you do not have the votes to even get the most popular aspect of your strategy through that party. If you can't even get the most popular aspect through that party, what hopes do you have for getting anything else through? And what concessions are they giving you for all those people, or for trying to get all those people back into that party? The point I'm making to you is, if you're not getting anything out the deal, you're just bringing people back to the party. And the establishment, the corporate shills, the mouthpieces for the plutocrats and the robber barons, those guys are the guys that stuck a shiv in Keith Ellison. Those are the guys that defrauded all those progressives. Those are the guys who slandered you. And those are the guys who right now are in control of the Democratic Party, who probably, I'm guessing, told you, yeah, no, we're not having single-payer health care. Sorry. And thanks for bringing the people back to the party, by the way. Do you want a revolution or not? Do you want a revolution or not? This is in your hands at this point. You, more than anybody else, is in a position to do something about it. You can change this country. You can change this world. A little bit of gumption, a little bit of bravery, but you can do it. You can do it. All right, guys, let me know what you think. Look, you know I love Sanders to death. From my standpoint, if this is a condemnation of his strategy, meaning this is not me condemning his strategy, this is him recognizing that the strategy is not working, he needs to change the strategy, right? That's just logic at that point. I mean, come on. The indignity of a socialist talking about a public option. That's insane. That's insane. Not to mention, again, I kind of make this point. We're talking about Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not going to pass single payer or public option. The only reason he would have to change that is if the people in his party kind of make this point to him like, yeah, dude, that ain't happening. You ain't got the votes for this. You can't get it through your party. That's true. But are you telling me that you really don't believe that you can get it through a third party? You don't think you're going to have millions of people coming to your side in order to fight for your benefit, in order to get these things accomplished? Your only path to getting your legislative agenda through is a third party. It's a third party. So, let me know what you think. If you like the video, feel free to like, subscribe. And again, also, I'm on Patreon, so feel free to even go that route. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. If you think I'm off, let me know. If you think I'm right, let me know. Alright guys, have a good one.